about that. So
Hello, hello, hello. We're here for week 2 Fantasy Outlook. The Fan TV League ended up with 50 participants. So thank you guys for that. That, is way more than I thought we were going to get. By more than double, I thought we were going to get 20, and we ended up with 50. So I think that that's great. In the next couple of weeks, we'll get your guys' emails together and we'll figure out some kind of trophy. My initial idea was to do a big trophy and get names engraved on it and have each person who won from the year before hold it for the next year and then pass it along to the next winner. But I know some people are out of town, which we didn't mean to happen. We meant to have everybody be here. I know we got some kind of MLS cheat guys who are claiming to be experts out of Europe, but who
yeah,
knows? Maybe they don't get a vote. And I know my friend Aaron, you've seen him on Match Preview for New England. Revs rumors he's in Louisiana, and
that's
he
who
is,
he is.
yeah, he joined the league too.
Oh,
So
I didn't know. I didn't know who that was.
yeah, that's my friend Aaron. So I don't. Other than that, I think everybody's in town. But that's just my brief thoughts. We'll get a little email chain going. Anyways, top five recap: Mo Molino by Christopher Adams has 94 points. Chris Dustin Bodenators 93 points. Ruckus Forever Our City 93 points. Sofa Kingdom Michael Risich 86 points. And Chad Arnett Daggers FC 85 points. That's the top five. Derek, the host of the league, is at 11 with 80, and I am at 24 with 70, which puts me 6 points or 4 points ahead of Chris Whalen at 29. So he's the he was maybe considered the front runner after week 1. We might be seeing a wild card from Chris. I never played before, and
Oh, damn.
I'm 4 points ahead of you, Chris. Shots fired. Pow, pow. That's what this league is about, boy.
Oh
Anyways,
my God.
bottom five, we got. Well, actually, I'll do about the bottom 7 because you guys really need to step it up. Starting with you, Lisa Raymond, at 44. That's the president of the Crown. She has 45 points, is in 44th place. Trevor Melton, 42 points, 45th place. Good old JJ, the Benfica homer, is in 46th place with 41 points.
Stop it.
E- Ian Cooch, ELE, 41 points. Jeff Thompson, Broken Cauldron Taproom, 38 points. Wes Kirk, Florida Lions, 37 points. And Steve Samoas has 33 points. Steve, please, buddy, use your wild card. Anyway, so that's the beginning of the show. From here out, we're going to do a recap. Maybe there'll be some shots fired. If we get some friendly banter on Twitter about the league, we'll go through those too because that's the whole point of this is just to create some fun. So week 2 fantasy outlook. Here's Derek.
Guys, you all know I'm all about banter. You can send me the banter all you want. I mean, I'm 11th place in my own league right now. I ended up with 80 points this past week, like Sam said. I had quite a few hits. I had Jesse Gonzalez and Matt Hedges both get 8 points apiece for Dallas. Uh, my captain last week was Mauro Diaz. That worked out just brilliantly. Brilliantly. 14 points, 28 points as the captain. Let's see. I had Fernando Adi score and I had Sebastian Giovinco score. That also worked out pretty well for me. So, like I said, 80 points, finished in the 2000th range or so. And I also had my fair share of misses. Lee Win, what the hell? $11 I paid for Lee Win, and I don't even think. No, he got a defensive bonus point. He's an offensive player getting defensive bonus points. Yeah, I like the extra point, but damn, get an offensive bonus point. Do something. Your team scored 3 goals. That was a 3-3 game, and you get 3 points. Come on, supposed to be the best player out there. And like Sam said, we both beat Chris, but just regression of the mean's gonna start coming through. Yeah, you may have scored 94 points this week, but you're probably not gonna score it next week. That's kind of how this goes. Uh, week 2, let me get the damn schedule. Week 2's no double game weeks this week. Your transfers will end March 11th at 7 o'clock. That's the beginning of Orlando City versus Chicago. Speaking of that game, it should be Nocerino's first game, and we do have a fan question about Nocerino, right?
Yeah, I'll look it up. You can keep going, and then I'll come back with the fan question.
Kaká's not expected to play. I don't think he'll play. So, if you still have him, that's a hell of a lot of money to keep off on your bench. You should probably transfer him out until he's healthy and can prove he can play consistent games. For that same price point, we're looking at Federico Higuain, who I think scored the goal of the week. If you didn't see that, you need to watch it. That was a fucking fantastic goal he scored against Portland.
I liked the fantasy podcast guys making the joke about Columbus Bicycle Club.
Oh my god, those guys are hilarious. I love them. And then you got Ignacio Piatti. I mean, this guy.
Here's the Nocerino question. We'll go right back real quick. From Wes Kirk, so from one of those bottom 5 teams has a question. There you go, Wes. That's good. Props for trying to improve. Anyways, Wes's question is Nocerino worth a thought right now, or should we wait a few weeks and see how he plays?
The thing with Nocerino, especially at his price point, which I think is the $8 to $9 range.
I think it's 8.5.
8.5.
I'll double check right now.
For that price range, you should want him to either be a scorer, be an assist maker like Ethan Finley was last year, or Christian Maidana is, or take set pieces. And he's not going to take set pieces. So, honestly, I'm not going to put him on my team. Speaking of our defensive midfielders, I've seen multiple teams with Servando Carrasco on it. God knows why, but he somehow got 7 points this week. So, whatever. What the hell?
And then you were talking about Piatti.
Oh, yeah, I'll get the Piatti in a minute. I was saying, like, replacements for the people who had Kaká for that price range. As far as Orlando goes, Kyle Laren's always an option. Tommy Redding, I've heard from Paramore Pundits, is going to start again on Friday. He had 2 points the other day, but Chicago is just not a good team. And at Tommy Redding's price point, you don't need him to get 6 or 7 points. Like 3 is fine, 3 or 4 is fine, and he's going to get that. He's going to get that. I wouldn't worry about that. Trying to think. Soren's out, Higuita's back, but neither of them are really good fantasy options. Interesting. I thought Kevin Molino actually played really well the other day.
Really well. Healthy.
He's going to be like Lloyd Sam for a little bit, where he's going to be really dangerous for about 60 or 70 minutes. And in those 60 or 70 minutes, he's going to create a lot of opportunities. He's going to get his shots off. He's going to get his chances for assists. But then he's going to be taken off. And Adrian Vinter is going to come in.
Nocerino's 8.5.
Yeah, I'm not taking Nocerino at that price point. I'm not doing it. Let's see. Kevin Molino is, I think, $8. You can go ahead and draft him if you want. Underrated, but just be aware he's not taking set pieces or anything like that.
Molino's 7.9.
7.9. That means he dropped this past week. Damn. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, it's easier to afford, but you can have Diego Fagundes at like 7.2, just scored 17 points this past week. Or you could go up a little bit and get David Accam at 9.2. And Accam's in this game too. Accam is pretty much the only Chicago option I'd pick, even though they surprisingly had multiple players score like 7 points the other week. It's like I'm not touching anyone on that team.
Maybe Vincent. I think he scored 3 or 4.
Really? They gave up 4 goals? Damn, I'll have to check that out. Either way, the Chicago back line's a complete dumpster fire. I don't know what to think. This game's going to be like 3-2. Chicago is just so terrible. And yet, excuse me. And yet we have a terrible time defending David Accam. He scored against us twice last year. No, 3 times actually. He scored
in Open Cup.
Scored against us in Open Cup. 3 goals against us last year. So if you're looking for that midfield option from this game, underrated, David Accam actually had, I think it was 14 points last week. He took a lot of shots. He was very dangerous, scored for Chicago, had an assist for Kennedy Buonanique's goal. David Accam, good option. He's only owned by about 5% of owners, so good pickup. Yeah, than that, there's not many options. I mean, I know a lot of people are excited about Breck Shea playing up, but as soon as Carlos Rivas comes back, that Breck Shea's going back, left back. So don't get too excited. Uh, Next game is New England versus DC. I'm gonna go ahead and skip this because outside of Diego Fagundes, these are two good soccer teams. But for your fantasy team, I don't know why in the hell you would torture yourself with these two teams. I picked Lee Win because in the last year he was scoring 6-7 points a game. Comes out, gets three, transfer him out. It's like whatever. Uh, yeah, skip that game. I'm not touching either team. They both have a DGW in week 4, but it's like why? Montreal versus the Red Bulls. Well, this is gonna be interesting.
Sounds like piles of fantasy points if you ask me.
I don't know. This could be a pile of fantasy points game, or this could be an Ignacio Piatti game. Really, Ignacio Piatti is way better at home than he is away, and he just came off an away game where he scored 20 fantasy points. New York's defense. This I checked out the stats for the Red Bulls game the other day. They had 63% possession, better passing stats than Toronto, got outshot and lost 2-0. I don't know what to think of that. So their back line is a work in progress with Gideon Baugh, new signing, and I forgot who started next to him. I think it was Ronald Zubar. Either way, I would definitely take Ignacio Piatti against those two because Gideon Baugh is still adjusting to MLS. I think Kamar Lawrence is back too, but still, Piatti in a playmaking role, taking all the set pieces until Drogba gets back. Yeah, I mean, why the hell not at this point? The guy just scored 20 points against a pretty good defense on their turf. I'm going for that. Let's see. Laurent Simon actually led the league in clearances last week with 13. For those of you who haven't looked over the new scoring rules, you should. That's 3 bonus points. He only ended up with 4 points, but still, bonus points are bonus points. And when Montreal gets clean sheets, and they will get clean sheets, they're a very, very good team, especially with Donadell in front of Simon and Victor Cabrera. Uh, if you have Laurent Simon, you can play him with confidence because New York's offense, I don't know what they were doing last week. Sasha Kleshin had 5. Everyone else looked like, ugh. So, as far as the New York offense goes, I'm still playing Sasha Kleshin, but I'm not thrilled about it. Wright Phillips, I'd take him out. Switch him for like David Villa or Kai Kamara. If you want to play Kai Kamara this week, this is a great week to do it. So Montreal, I'd be more confident in their options. Harry Shipp actually looked pretty good the other day too. And Dominic Aduro until Drogba gets back is always a good option. He's rather cheap of an option. So, it saves you a little cap space. Go for that extra midfielder. Real Salt Lake versus Seattle.
Aduro's at 7-6.
There we go, folks. $7.6, and you get a starting striker. How fucking awesome is that? I think there's only one starting striker in MLS cheaper than that.
Quincy America was the same price.
All right, 2 starting strikers because CJ Sapong's like $7.
So there you go.
Yeah, but Philadelphia blows. RSL versus Seattle. Seattle got unlucky this past week with that red card. They're pretty decent with 11 men. They just did not score. Since they're gonna have 11 men again, obviously, I'm confident in Dempsey and Evenshitz and Valdez and their offense. I'm not really worried about them. The big thing with RSL is that Javier Morales is not taking penalties. He's still taking free kicks and corners, but Joao Plata's taking penalties now. And Joao Plata, in his last 2 competitive games against us and against
Santos.
Who they play in CCL? Tigres?
I think Santos. Laguna Santos,
I
right?
think it was Tigres.
Okay,
Yeah,
either way.
it was Tigres. But either way, he scored in CCL. He scored twice against us, unfortunately. And to our hero, Adrian Vinter came to save us. So that's 3 goals in his past 2 competitive games. Starting striker, he's about 9.2 or so.
I'll look.
So somewhere in that price range. But either way, he's at home where RSL is a lot better of a team. He's playing with Yura Movsisian and Burrito Martinez. That's always a
Yep.
good thing. He'll get the service.
Plata's 9.2.
9.2. I would take the risk of playing up against Seattle. It's a differential pick. He's on fire right now. Like I said, 3 goals in his past 2 games. Uh, really, if you want to go for it, go for it. Really, I mean, you're starting to find these options even after 1 week. Seattle, like I said, even shit Dempsey, Valdez, whoever you have, you're probably fine with.
Do you think that if Evenshitz doesn't produce this week, it's time to move on from him? Because I know a lot of people picked him up as a value, but only 3 points last week.
I picked him up as a value too, and I actually found this interesting metric today on MLS Fantasy Scout.com. It's talking about playmaker rating for midfielders. On the bell curve, even shits is near the median of the bell curve. So he was average, and Seattle looked like crap. He should only get better.
So you'd give it till what? Another week? Two more
I'll
weeks?
give
3 more
I'll
weeks?
give him a couple weeks. I'll give him till like week 3 because they should look a lot better. Like looking at this, players like Lee Wynn and Dax McCarty, they did not have good playmaker ratings. And I'll post this to the video later. Players like Christian Maidana, David Acom, Piatti, Diego Valeri, and Mauro Diaz all had excellent player ratings for their midfield. So those are the players you should probably look. I mean, hell, even Mix Discroot had a pretty good rating. Speaking of New York, we'll get to that in a minute too. Next game, Colorado versus LA. Big thing was Colorado. Axel Hoberg started. Yes. And I dropped him. Damn. As long as Pablo Mastroeni's starting him, you should probably play him, except for this week because they're playing LA, and that is not a good thing because Mike McGee kicked ass last week. 2 goals after coming in for the injury-ridden Gio dos Santos. Because of that injury, I'm not picking Gio dos Santos this week. I do not want him on my team. I don't even want that risk of him on my team. Because if he doesn't play, you're screwed, and that's a lot of money on your bench. So, just in case you can have Mike McGee on your team, I'd be more safe with Robbie Keane. Sebastian Lletget actually looked pretty good. And the big thing from last week is Jelly Van Dam didn't play. I don't know if he is injured in Champions League or what the hell happened with that. He just didn't play. And I know a few people that had Stires, who was actually on the Dream Team. He scored. So he had 12 points, and they destroyed DCU, which is a very good thing because, I hate DCU. And as far as Colorado goes, I've already talked about Hoberg. Interesting striker option, Dominic Badgie's at $5. Scored, I think it was 4 or 5 points for them the other day against San Jose. And if you see the stats,
4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
If you saw the stats, Colorado outshot San Jose. It was like 18-7 away from home. I was like, what the hell? So, Colorado may not be as bad as I thought. They're just not the greatest options. And if you're looking for that really cheap striker option, let's continue to see if Dominic Badgie starts. I mean, for $5, that's only half a dollar more than the minimum. What really are you risking there? Nothing, exactly. Columbus versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia did not look good last week. Obviously, they're playing Dallas last week. They were playing another good offense this week. Federico Higuain. He needs to be on your team if you desperately need a midfielder and you don't want Piatti for whatever reason. All set pieces, scored a goal, easy defense. He's at home. There you go. That's my case for Higuain. And then you got Kai Kamara, he's Kai Kamara. He's going to kick these rookies' asses. I expect Kamara to score this week. And at his price tag, he needs to.
Higuain's 10.1 and Kamara is 10.9.
All right, so that means Higuain gain a little bit, either above the average. Kamara's below the average. But then again, Portland can deal with Kamara. They have Borchers and Ridgewell. They've dealt with Kamara before. They're going to deal with him again.
Yeah, in that championship game.
They did. Even though Kamara scored, they dealt with him really well because Kamara's goal was basically off a deflection of some sort. Either way, I expect Kamara to bounce back against Philadelphia that struggled last week. Mauro Diaz made him look like crap. Of course, Mauro Diaz makes a lot of players look like crap. Philadelphia is just not a good fantasy option. Ilsinho did not look that good. Fabinho started, but then again, they gave up 2 goals. I'm not touching that entire team. They're just fantasy useless. You use them for minimum price players. That's about it. Houston versus Dallas. This is going to be an interesting one. Excuse me. Dallas has dominated the last few games of the series, and Houston just came off a game where they scored 3 goals. Will Bruin looked really good, scoring 11 points. Giles Barnes looked really good, and Christian Maidana looked really good. But I just hate this matchup for them, even though they're at home. Dallas is a good defense. They didn't even play Zach Lloyd last week, and they looked good. By the way, if you had Zach Lloyd last week, I'm sorry, I don't know. I just do not know.
Neither do I. Neither did the fantasy podcast guys.
I thought they'd start Figueroa at center back and Lloyd on the wing. Instead, they start Walker Zimmerman at center back and Figueroa on the wing. It's like, whatever you want, Pereira. I don't give a shit.
Well, they're probably going to stick with that, so I'm gonna.
They looked really good. They looked really good.
I'm gonna ride Lloyd out for one more week, and then if he gets another donut this week, I'm ditching him.
Yeah, it's always good to have an auto sub if you have Zach Lloyd, or just better yet, transfer him out for a player I'm going to talk about in the next game. So, if you follow my Twitter, you saw one of my striker sleeper picks was Maxi Urruti. He scored last week. Great assist from Mauro Diaz. Him and Diaz have this connection. I mean, yeah, they're both Argentines, but that matters a little on the field. They looked excellent together. Mauro Diaz and Maxi Urruti are going to be a good combo, and if you can get them both, get them both. Because Urruti's a cheap striker. Diaz is a top fantasy midfielder. Combine the both of them, and you got like power hour for FCD. Let alone the fact they got DGW in 3 weeks. SKC versus Vancouver, fantasy options there. The defender I'm talking about, Coelho, I think. Nuno Coelho. I don't know Portuguese names really well, but he was their new defender, and he was the one who scored the goal for them.
7.7.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy scored 16 points last week, scored a goal that Stefan Fry should have saved.
So can I ask you a quick question about that? Just for, I mean, I read all the rules, and I'm not an expert, but, I know a lot of people probably didn't read the rules. So the goal's worth 5, and then and you can't go goal chasing with defenders, right?
No, you absolutely cannot go goal chasing.
Right.
You can't even go clean sheet chasing with defenders anymore.
Okay, so that
3 clean sheets last week.
So that would give them an 11 point score, right? Without the goal for Coelho.
Yeah. No,
okay.
No, 10, because goals for defenders are 6.
Goals, okay. So that'd be a 10-point score, right? Yeah. So, and then Bessler had a 10-point score too. So what are those? Are those just from clearances and whatever, interceptions and whatever the other ones, CIB or whatever it is?
Most of Beasler's points came from his clean sheet.
So that's where Coelho's points came from too.
Yeah, I mean, I can check the point breakdowns later.
Well, it's okay. So he's got 6 from the goal and 5 from the clean sheet.
6 from the goal, 4 from the clean sheet.
So that's 10 of his 16. So he really got 6 points for the week,
and 2 for playing 90 minutes. So, but he got a few bonus points.
Okay, I just don't want people to chase the goals, I guess is what I'm getting at. But
No,
okay,
no, but that was a good surprise, and SKC is a good defense. So
okay,
Coelho at 7.7 on that defense. That's gonna be a good bargain for people.
okay.
Vancouver, Pedro Morales looked good, pretty decent the other day. I mean, yeah, they lost 3-2, but he got, I think it was like 10 fantasy points, which is really good for him. Just hope he stays healthy. I really do, because he has a DGW in a few weeks, and he is going to be a rotation risk for that week, but still, I'd love to have him. Octavio Rivero did everything on Sunday except score. It seemed like in the highlights he took about 47,000 shots, and he hit the crossbar. He barely met. I don't know. Octavio Rivera is going to score. I wouldn't worry about one game against Montreal. Let's see who else. Bolaños looked pretty good. That metric I was telling you about earlier, he had a pretty good score on that. Just beware of that. He's $8. Kendall Watson scored, and like I said, you shouldn't go goal chasing with defenders, but Kendall Watson will get you bonus points as well. I'm not really worried about that, and he is on my DGW for week 4. And I already have Tim Parker, but I'm not expecting a clean sheet out of either team. They're going to score in this game. So, Tim Parker, Kendall Watson, Rivero if you have him, Pedro Morales, Coelho, Beasler, and Dom Dwyer is actually interesting.
Why
Hopefully,
so?
he should gain the fouls. Hopefully, when everyone's healthy, he can get better service and just start scoring. Because they were missing quite a few players
And
against.
what about the? Didn't they they brought in a DP striker last week? Didn't they?
Uh, I know they brought in a loanee from Chile.
Okay. And
Uh,
what about irrelevant?
I'll have to check on that other striker you're talking about.
Okay, so for next week.
Yeah.
All
If
right.
you want Dwyer, you can have him. It's whatever. There are better options than Dom Dwyer, though. Let's just say that. This is my favorite fantasy game of the week, and the one I'm most excited about because last year there was 2 players in this game, and they combined for 37 fantasy points. Anyone know who I'm talking about?
I do, but you can go ahead.
All right. New York City FC at home versus Toronto. And the 2 players I'm talking about were David Villa and Sebastian Giovinco. So, and they both missed a penalty and still combined for 37 points. That just told you how wild that 4-4 game was. NYCFC, Patrick Vieira, please keep starting Tommy McNamara. Once again, Tommy Mac with another world-class goal from outside the box in the upper 90. This kid needs to play, and I'm really hoping it's if New York City wants to win, they need to play him. Short and simple. They don't need to sit him for Frank Lampard. They need to start Tommy McNamara. And for your fantasy team, they need to start Tommy McNamara because he looked really, really damn good the other day.
It says Lampard's hurt too with a left gastrocnemius inflammation. So
Oh,
if any of you are doctors, I don't know what that is, and sorry if I
me
mispronounced it.
neither. All I know is that Lampard can go off the QPR. So, because for your fantasy team, you want Tommy McNamara starting. I'm very, very tempted to put him in this week against Toronto. Uh, I think when their entire team is healthy, they should play 4-4-2. They shouldn't do this 4-3-3 crap because they got Pirlo playing defensive mid. What does that tell you? That was just so bad. And their defense proved to be just as bad as before. It's like, what the fuck? You're letting Chicago walk all over you. And they still somehow won. David Acon, like I said, had 14 points against them last week. I don't trust New York's defense at all. I expect Jovinko to have a field day. And if you're looking for a budget option against NYCFC, look at Tsubasa Endo. 5.5, scored 5 points this week, and is playing striker next to Jovinko and pretty much until Altidore returns. even though from what I'm hearing from TFC fans on Reddit, he'd still start, even with Altidore back. They just put Jovinko, Altidore, and Endo up top, which is a very good thing. So, you might want him on your team before it's too late. Prediction: Toronto's going to walk all over that. Jovinko should be your captain, all that good stuff. Good thing is Toronto's defense looked really good. Drew Moore, Steven Beitashour, Steve Irwin, they need to be under radar. Put them under watch list right now. Just go ahead and do that. You're good. You're good. Because, I mean, if they could play like that, they shut down the Red Bulls while being outpossessed by 24% away from home. So, and that literally scares the shit out of me. Because that's not good news for the rest of the Eastern Conference. So, yeah, Fantasy Gold up there at the, old baseball stadium.
Old Yankee Field.
Yeah. And last game of the week, San Jose versus Portland. This is a very interesting game. Matias Perez Garcia is back from suspension. That's a very good thing since he's their set piece taker. And he's $8, I believe. San Jose is it's an above average offense, so it's always worth a look for MPG. I know Chris is madly in love with him. He had him for about 15 weeks last year.
Maybe he'll pick him back up and he can gain those 6 points on me.
Exactly.
Yeah, Perez Garcia, San Jose, 8 points.
Oh, big thing with San Jose, Sean Francis actually left the game with an injury. San Jose fans are predicting he'll be out for, I think it was at least a month. But in his absence, they're saying Kip Colby should start, and he's 4.5 minimum price defender. Well, shit. I mean, you could have him as an auto sub, whatever. If he doesn't start, what's the worst thing that can happen? You just got another minimum price player. So, I was actually thinking about doing that transfer because I still got one free one left this week. Just get rid of that Dallas guy and put in Kip Colby so I can go get Maxi Rudy in week 4. Sounds like a plan. And then for Portland, they looked really good at home like usual. Fernando Adi scored. Lucas Milano looked dangerous. Darian Osprio's on the other wing, even though he's not really fantasy relevant. Whatever. Their midfield was just holy shit good. It's let me see, Valeri and Nagby in front of Diego Chara, and Valeri and Nagby both had pretty high playmaker scores. And Valeri scored, I think it was 13 fantasy points last week. And he is their set piece taker. He scored a goal on a set piece, and he's not their PK taker. But still, Diego Valeri is a hell of a player when healthy. And Portland's a hell of a team. I mean, they just won the damn title. And they're playing away from home this week. But, defense, Liam Ridgewell, Matt Borchers, always good decisions. And that's pretty much the entire schedule for this week. Really, if you want to start planning for the week 4 DGW, you can, even though I think that's a shitty idea. So, any other questions you had for me?
Can you go over the? This is just for the not as knowledgeable player. Can you go over the taking a -4 and using the wild card, and under what circumstances should that be done?
Yes. This video is going to be a little longer than usual. We're sorry about that, guys, but this is something I probably should have mentioned in the first video. Taking a -4 is not something you should do often. Maybe like once in every 3 weeks if you're in a shit spot. If you have players that are healthy and not suspended, I wouldn't take a -4. Like if you didn't get a red card or an injury this week, don't take a -4. Don't do it to yourself. It's only week 1, guys. Let's say you had like a red card and an injury and a player that didn't perform well, like Lee Win. For example, like you had Gio Dos Santos, you had Darwin Sarin, and you had Lee Win. You could take a -4 in that case. It's perfectly acceptable. The biggest thing for -4s is don't take it unless you have an injury. Don't take it unless you have a red card. don't take it unless you know for certain that player is going to score more than 4 points. So in single game weeks, it's a huge risk to take because no guarantee that player is going to score 4 points. Double game weeks, it's a lot easier to make that decision because if that player plays 60 minutes in each game, well, there's your 4 points back. And what was the other part of that? Oh,
The wild card.
Wild card. I would not use it unless you're in a shittier spot than using a minus like 8. Like wild cards are hard. If there's a huge DGW week and you prepared for it poorly and you wanna get in and all that fun, you can use your wild card, but don't use your wild card because you have like one injury.
All right.
You just gotta be smart about it.
All right.
It's a trial and error thing because first year I played, I used my wild card, it backfired, and second year I used it on like mixed disc root and a bunch of other players for DGW, and that backfired. I'm doing the damn show, so
it's trial and error.
Yeah, it's literally trial and error. You just go through the schedule, and you can identify a few weeks where you can use the wild card. I already have, so.
All right. Well, is that all you got?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for y'all this week. Nothing much. I mean, single game week this week, single game next week, shitty DGW week 4.
Okay, so look at the schedule. Look at the schedule, guys. Be prepared for your DGW week 4. I mean, Derek will be here talking about him. Derek will answer your questions on Twitter. I'm only here for the banter. I really, don't know much as usual. So,
I love banter.
If you want to banter at me, I'm all for it, guys. Bring it my way. I'm only in 24th. I'm right where I want to be, middle of the pack, above Chris. So
I'm gonna banter you right now.
It's fine. All good. Banter me right now. All right, guys. Thanks for the watch. We'll be back next week. Week 3 Fantasy Outlook. We'll do league updates again. Maybe I'll come up with some better banter, but this week I was pretty on point.
Good
All
luck
right.
this week, guys. Remember,
Peace
no
out.
-4s. Thank you.
All right. Derek says no -4s. There you got it. Peace.